Our Heavenly Father, the fount of all goodness and grace, the cause of wisdom, the source of intelligence, we welcome you, O Lord, to this auspicious gathering of your beloved, who continuously give you thanks for every opportunity to learn something new and become fruitful to the works of your creation. We humbly come to you, not because we are worthy, but because we find ourselves in need of you, who is our strength and our hope, to continue despite the challenges we face in health, prosperity, and our solidarity with one another. We pray that today's gathering, made possible by the grace of advancements in technology and social media, become successful in its endeavors, so we can offer it back to you as our humble offering to honor you, glorify you, and love you through our deeper connection with everyone. May we find bliss in today's session and become more productive children and co-creators of the earth. This we ask and pray through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Ayan, magandang umaga sa inyong lahat.
Good morning. Ang taas ng energy ng partner ko. Mukhang nakapagkape
Yes.
na siya. Good morning, partner. And good morning to all our participants joining us through Zoom.
Ayan, nakapagkape ka na ba, partner?
Naman.
Ayan, totoo yan, nakapagkape na ako kaya mataas ang ating energy. At dahil masaya tayo na sinasamahan tayo ng ating mga kapartner din sa Consuelo sa ating first Consuelo Learning Series this year. Sana po ay nakapagkape na rin kayo at ang ating CLS ay pinamanggatang OCAT ang Panukat.
Yes, understanding the organizational capacity assessment tool. My name is Nina.
At ako naman po si Dan and kami po ang inyong magiging host for today.
Yes, but partner, before we proceed sa exciting part ng session natin for today, we would like to give a shout out sa mga partners natin. Let us start siguro with partners natin sa Luzon, Pa-heart react naman po sa atin dyan.
Ayan, magandang umaga po sa inyo sa mga taga Luzon. Shout out din sa ating mga partners from Visayas. Pa-like react naman po dyan.
Yes.
Pa-like react.
And of course, shout out naman sa ating mga Mindanao partners. Pa-clap react naman po tayo.
Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. At dahil sa tingin natin ay marami-rami na ang ating mga kasama sa Zoom, ay tatawagan natin ang ating bagong Programs Director ng Consuelo Zubel Alger Foundation para i-welcome ang ating mga participants. Please welcome Miss Dorina Lana.
You're muted. Doreen, we don't hear anything.
Okay, good morning ulit sa ating mga partners from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Magandang umaga po. And sa ating mga resource persons, and of course, my colleagues here at Consuelo Foundation. On behalf po of Consuelo Foundation, I warmly welcome everyone to our Consuelo Learning Series. OCAT ang Panukat, Understanding the Organizational Capacity Assessment Tool. OCAT ang Panukat, hindi po panakot. Dahil itong learning series, it's a gathering of all of us, our network of Consuelo Foundation partners. And here we are to discuss various themes related to children's rights and together identify ways to address current trends and child protection issues. We at Consuelo Foundation have the humble and greatest honor to serve children, families, and communities in the Philippines and Hawaii. It is true because of the generosity of our foundress and benefactress, Doña Consuelo Zubel Alger. Before she passed away, she left us with the mission to engage and empower children, families, and communities to protect themselves from abuse, neglect, and exploitation, and of course, promote health and well-being. And our efforts continue to be focused on achieving greater effectiveness and continuity. And that is because of you. And thus, in 2019, through the CLS, we launched the Ask Series initiative or Consuelo Foundation's Cups of Coffee Conversation Series. It is a discussion of old and new partners about sustaining their organizations. And among those that were discussed, of course, were about sustainability, like fundraising and mobilizing different resources. And since then, the CLS has evolved and provided a safe and free space for our Consuelo partners to discuss critical topics on mental health, financial management, crisis communication, and even during the pandemic of COVID-19, and the importance of play in the development of every child. And during the surreal time, we are undeterred by the pandemic. We at Consuelo shall continue this organizational development initiative and facilitate meaningful exchanges and knowledge sharing within the Child Protection Network. So together, let us build our organizational capacity as we continue to serve the most vulnerable children, families, and communities. I hope this learning series will be life-giving for each and every one of you as it is for us at Consuelo. It is an honor to join forces with you to serve and protect children, families, and communities. May the legacy of Doña Consuelo of renewing hope for those who have lost it and giving hope to those who never had it continue to live on. OCAT ang Panukat. I would like to thank our resource persons, and I hope that today motivates us to take the lead in assessing facets of our organizational capacity and identify areas of relative strength and weaknesses. Hindi po OCAT ang panakot, OCAT ang panukat, and do something with it. And together, let us learn more about OCAT.
Thank you very much for that warm and beautiful message, Miss Doreen, no? Okat ang panukat, hindi panakot. Yes,
Gusto ko yun yung line na yan.
Bigyan naman natin ng isang virtual clap si Miss Doreen.
Ayan, virtual call. Mga kakonsuelo, and yes, I know it's still very early for some, especially sa mga kakonsuelo natin who are working from the comfort of their homes. And we couldn't thank you enough for being here on time kahit na super aga pa. Nung aga natin, 8:30 in punto, nag-start tayo. Kaya naman, nag-prepare kami ni Nin ng isang mabilisang icebreaker para magising ang ating mga brain cells.
Yes, correct ka dyan, partner. So, meron kaming 2 questions na itatanong no, related to our topic. So, what you will do is to just key in sa chat box kung anong tamang sagot. And syempre, meron tayong mga pa-premyo mamaya. So, ready na ba kayo?
Siyempre, hindi papahuli ang Consuelo sa
Naman.
papremyo.
Yes, give us a
Tingnan natin
thumbs
kung
up.
ready na sila at mukhang ready na nga talaga sila. At para sa ating unang katanungan, Nin, kanina pa natin ito sinasabi, what does OCAT stand for? Unang tanong, what does OCAT stand for? Ano kaya ang ibig sabihin ng OCAT na panukat at hindi panakot?
Correct.
Yeah, correct.
Yan.
Sige, may mga nakakuha na kaya ng tamang sagot?
Yes,
Ayan.
meron na daw. Alive na alive ang ating mga partners. So, ang tamang kasagutan po, ang OCAT ay Organizational Capacity Assessment Tool.
Yun naman.
Yun pala yun. So, sa pangalawang katanungan, fill in the blanks naman ito.
Ay, medyo
partner.
mahirap to, fill in the blanks.
Pero
Go.
may choices naman.
May choices.
The OCAT
Okay.
is a blank tool used to gauge the capacity of organizations in program, policy, and organizational development implementation. Choices are A, project management, B, self-awareness, or C, self-assessment.
Ano kaya ang tamang sagot dito? Partner, hintayin lang natin yung mga ating mga participants. Oh, mukhang ang bilis-bilis nila. Nakapagkape rin sila. Kaya naman ang tamang sagot ay letter C, self-assessment. Ayan. Congratulations sa nakakuha ng tamang sagot. Thank you for your participation. One of our team members will get in touch with the winners to give you your prizes. At magdedire-diretso na nga tayo, no? Kanina pa natin sinasabi, ano nga ba yung OCAT? Kanina nyo pa yan sinasabi, Nin, Dan, and Miss Doreen. Pero para bigyan ng little context yung ating mga participants about today's topic, ang Consuelo's Partnership Framework is designed to boost the continuity of programs even after partnerships by strengthening internal systems and helping our partners expand their programmatic scopes. The implementation of Organizational Capacity Assessment Tool is one of the interventions of the foundation to being applied to strengthen these organizational and sustainability efforts of our partners. That said, we want to help our partners no na navigate yung practical ways ng paggamit ng tool na to. At matulungan sila na ma-achieve ang kanilang mga short and long-term goals, building more credible, accountable, and healthy organizations, partner.
Yes, tama ka dyan, partner. Kaya for today's objective, no, layunin natin na ma-discuss ang features ng OCAT and to provide tips on how to accomplish it properly. We'd also like to discuss the benefits naman of having a comprehensive and accurate OCAT. Also, we'd like to provide guidance and interpretation of the OCAT results, and of course, to share best practices on addressing organizational development concerns and tips on how to improve OCAT scores.
Ang dami pala nating objective ngayon, partner. Kaya naman hindi na natin papatagalin at ipapakilala na natin ang ating first speaker sa umaga na ito. Ang ating first speaker ay isang more tenured program officer of Consuelo Zubel Alger Foundation who has expertise in using and interpreting the OCAT for Consuelo partners. He's also a family strengthening focal for many years. He has been in the development sector for over 10 years, specifically working for organizations in education and child welfare. He brings with him years of experience with specialization in relationship management and resource mobilization, working in both the corporate and non-profit sector. Previous to joining CF, he worked as the officer in charge for resource mobilization at Children's Our Philippines Foundation Incorporated, where he spearheaded the development of partnerships with corporations, government agencies, and various organizations for the foundation's projects in education, health, and child welfare. He is a graduate of Bachelor of Arts in Consular and Diplomatic Affairs from the De La Salle College of St. Benilde. Please welcome Mr. Jeffrey Paulo Eugenio.
Hello, good morning po sa ating mga Consuelo partners. So for this session, sinabi po ni Dan, I will be going through an overview of the OCAT. Tulad nga po sabi ni Ms. Doreen, di ba? OCAT, panukat, kaya hindi panakot. Kaya tayo, wag maging OCAT, di ba? Para sa mga 90s references yun, hindi makagets. So going po to my presentation. So ano nga ba yung OCAT? So OCAT. Starting Organizational Capacity Assessment Tool. So, di ba? And what it is, basically, it's a self-assessment tool for Consuelo partners. And it's meant to be, it measures capacity nga po, di ba? In terms of governance, strategic management, PDIM, resource mobilization, admin and HR management, financial management, and advocacy. So I'm sure there are some people hindi familiar or minsan or nakagamit na ng OCAT. Pati nga online survey nga tayo ngayon. Parang can I see a thumbs up emoji para sa mga first time gumamit ng OCAT? So mukhang wala ata, mukhang lahat experience na ata, no? Sino naman dito, sino naman dito, would you say na medyo experienced na sa paggamit ng OCAT? Ayun, may heart, ayun, nakakita ko may mga heart emoji. So whether it's a first time niyo or may experience na kayo, we'll go through this together. Or at least baka may mga knowledge na hindi pa kayo familiar, di ba? So, and refamiliarize ourselves kung ano nga ba yung OCAT. So ano nga ba? So first and foremost, OCAT is not to police partners. Hindi nga panakot, 'di ba? So yung gagawin natin is that hindi kayo mapapinalize kung sabihin na Sir Pao, mababa yung financial management capacity namin. Hindi namin kayo pipinalize, hindi namin kayo babawiin ng funding of any kind. And also, it is not just for current partners. So pagdating dito, so hindi lang porket wala kayong active partnership with Consuelo Foundation, hindi nyo magagamit. Marami din kayong partners that have already reached that phase out process. And even if nakaabot na sila sa stage na yon, pwede pa rin nila gamitin onwards. And later on, explain ko paano nga ba, anong use after nga ng phase-out process. So again, not to please partners, and it's not just for current partners. And we also encourage you, since hindi rin kayo penalized in any way, not to answer the OCAT as honestly as possible. Kasi in the end, ito yung makakatulong for your organizational growth. So from what is not an OCAT, what is an OCAT? Well, first and foremost, yung OCAT is used to identify weaknesses and challenges. And of course, once alam na natin kung ano yung mga sa tingin natin deficiencies or things we need to improve on, dito tayo nagdi-discuss and collaborate. Discuss and collaborate with your team, with your board, and of course yung designated program officers din ninyo. And once napag-usapan na natin, this is where we work towards strengthening organization. Dahil alam na natin sa mga FS partners dito, di ba? Alam natin sa mga modules, self-awareness important in improving yourself. And when you improve yourself, when aware of ano dapat i-improve ninyo, alam na ninyo yung mga iba't ibang approaches and strategies para ma-address nga yung strength, potential strength na yun. So we work towards organizational strengthening and development. So why do we do this? First and foremost, for partnership building, one thing I'm proud of as a Consuelo Foundation program officer is that we are more than just a grant-giving institution, but we're a partnership-building institution because apart from funding yung mga usual project components ng mga partners namin in operations, we also contribute to the organization as a whole, addressing different aspects. Kaya nga po sa mga proposal making, may organizational development objective, di ba? Kasi doon natin pinapasok yung mga other improvements on organization other than the direct program services. And so that's why it also, so from partnership building, ginagawa natin, we enhance the programs and policies, and we also strengthen different aspects of the programs and services towards organizational sustainability para patuloy-tuloy din po, parang nagko-contribute yung Consuelo Foundation sa continuity and the sustainability ng operation ng mga programs ninyo for the children and families that you serve. And this is all towards Consuelo Foundation's objective under the Partnership Development Unit, which is to ensure partners are resilient, self-sustaining organizations who leverage the strengths to deliver effective and quality programs that empower children, youth, families, and fellow partners, which is, of course, the overall vision of Consuelo Foundation. So now that I-explain ko na what is OCAT, why do we need OCAT, we can go through ano nga ba yung different parts of OCAT and paano natin gagamitin. So at this point in time, meron tayo yung parang introductory tabs. Starting with yung instructions and authorization tab. So this is made up of the overview of the OCAT. And so dito pinag-uusapan nga yung definition ng OCAT, yung origins niya, and yung from there we talk about yung instructions, paano nila i-conduct. So yung instructions kung paano yung i-rate yung sarili niyo, nandun din po sa instructions and authorization tab na yon, along with submission guidelines, paano nila i-endorse sa designated program officer ninyo. And lastly, the authorization from partner. Now, ito authorization from partner, very important po talaga yon. Kasi this will be, by authorizing us to access your internal organization information, we will ensure that it remains confidential. So, huwag kayong ma-conscious or ma-insecure kung let's say mahina kayo sa PDIM or wala kayo masyadong HR and management system in place, di naman i-chismis sa ibang partners. This is something that they will keep to ourselves because at the end of the day, ito yung magagamit natin to help yourselves in improving the organization. So yun, so dito ni isa-sign yung name niyo para to authorize us to access this useful internal information again. So just in passing, pakita ko lang sa what it actually looks like in case you don't have it up right now. So like I said, merong definition ng OCAT, what it's for, yung mga instructions. Meron din, ito yung na-mention kong authorization part. So dito na isa-sign yung OCAT authorizing us to access your information. Okay. Advancing to my next slide. So after the instruction authorization tab, meron din tayong profile tab, which is made up of yung, dito nyo i-encode yung mga registration details ninyo. So SEC, BIR, DSWD, and even CDA, and the number of staff, audit, and the audited FS details, and certification and accreditations, and of course yung mga programs ng organization ninyo. So dito nyo, as you can see, so ito yung mga iba't ibang fields from what I mentioned sa bullet points ko. So i-encode nyo na in yung mga respective number of staff and yung mga different programs like that. So parang itong tick box nila. Ayun, dito nyo ilalagay yung mga accreditations ninyo. So from the introductory tabs, we go through the organizational rating na. So dito nyo gagamitin yung OCAT, ilalagay nyo yung rating per different focus areas like I mentioned before. So kung mag-rate kayo, yung what we do is a scale from 6 to 1. And on the first column to the left, makita niyo yung criteria, what qualifies as a 6, what qualifies as a 3, 2, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So from there, you will move on to the next column, from the second column from the left, i-rate niyo from 1 to 6. And then the succeeding columns, then ilalagay yung means of verification. So paano ko nasabi na 6 ako or 5 or 4? So it can be like yung operations manual ninyo or mga other supporting documents that can validate yung ratings ninyo. So doon ilalagay yung mga sa succeeding columns kung ano yung mga supporting documents. So from there we go to, so the first tab na i-rate ninyo is the governance tab. So when it comes to the governance tab, dito na pag-uusapan yung assessment of your board. Ano yung decision-making capabilities nila, do they adhere to existing programs and policies of the organization, and are they compliant with different NGO or CSO compliance or requirements. Sa strategic management tab, it shows you the ability to develop long-term plans and also to be able to determine your vision, mission, and goals. And if ever, it also assesses yung responsiveness ninyo. Kung may vision, mission, goals kayo, is it match or magtugma with ano nga ba yung parang needs ng client ninyo. So dito is assess under the strategic management tab. And sa PDIME tab, which is the program development, implementation, and management and monitoring and evaluation tab. So this is your ability to design programs and have a risk management and implementation planning, and also whether or not you have a monitoring and evaluation system in place. Pagdating naman sa resource mobilization, given that tayo mga organizations, this will be useful, especially for mga partners na approaching, like I said, the phase-out stage of Consuelo Foundation partnership. You might need further development in finding sources of funds to support the influx of funds that were already provided by Consuelo Foundation to begin with. That's why a lot of the questions here, nakafocus po siya sa sustainability of the operations and programs and services, your ability to find different financial and in-kind resources, and also to manage the existing donor and partnership systems you have in place. So basically, everything that is involved sa relationship management, maintaining the funds that you have and looking for new sources of funds, dito natin kino-cover. And next is, of course, the admin and HR tab. So ito, we move away na more from the programmatic needs, but more towards the back office, yung backbone nga ng organization nyo, which is the admin and HR. So it shows kung gaano ka-compliant kayo sa HR requirements, meron ba kayong documentations and formal practices that are put in one document like an operations manual? Is there also, do we have mga employee benefits and compensation system to help make sure that there's proper staff care to ensure nga fair nga po yung treatment ng staff and hindi sila na-burnout and meron proper guidance on their development. So yun din yung mga tinitingnan here in this tab. And next is, of course, the financial management tab. Ayun, this is also something that we're also, marami sa partners namin always ask for help because that's why it's important na tinitingnan natin yung mga kung sino mga financial personnel, meron mga bookkeeper, or yung mga accounting major, business management major. So tinitingnan din natin yan. Ano yung mga financial system in place? Meron ba kayong akubo? Meron ba kayong QuickBooks or NetSuite, and that assist you in yung proper bookkeeping and reporting. And also, meron din baka yung documentation and proper documentation and recording of your receipts and expenditures, along with internal control and reporting factors pagdating sa financial management of your organization. And lastly naman is advocacy tab. So I put here open close parenthesis optional because of course not all organizations have an advocacy component to their project. But for those that have, you're more than welcome to use this para rin mas holistic or mas full yung assessment ng organization. Which is why quality of advocacy and the development of the agenda is considered. Meron pinag-usapan din yung proper representation. As someone with an advocacy, let's say on child protection and rights, do you represent this particular sector properly? And given this, do you have enough support from your members in forwarding yung mga messages and awareness campaigns? And lastly, do you have the ability to sustain yung advocacy niyo and replicate it, whether it be with fellow NGOs or even mga kapwang yung mga kapwa ninyong mga or yung mga government agencies na katrabaho niyo, ma-replicate din ba nila yung advocacy na yun? So yun. So we talked about all of these 6 tabs where you rate yourself, and it comes down to the summary chart tab. Because once na-encode ninyo lahat ng mga questions from 1 to 6, automatic po yung nagko-compute through the summary chart tab. So very useful to, especially yung mga first time, yung mga let's say isang department lang, yung naka-focus lang yung rater sa isang department, makikita niyo yung buong organizational capacity from a bird's eye view. Makikita niyo gaano ka-capable kayo sa PDIME, sa finance, admin HR, strategic, board, even sa board development. So overall, makikita niyo talaga ano yung overall ratingan ninyo. And apart from that, meron din scale of assessment results para pwede nyo i-compare based on yung ratings niyo, ano ba ako, developing organization, advanced ba ako. So yun yung, and apart from that, it will also show the organizational development status. So where are we right now in terms of an organization? So I'll show you some of the tabs. So ito nga po yung mga certain parts, yung very important parts of a summary chart tab. So makita per area, kinakita yung overall average ratings. Makita rin sa kung visual learner kayo, meron din tayong mga bar graph para mapakita din kung yung mga, like in terms of visually, ano yung mga strengths ninyo and weaknesses and saan yung opportunities niyo for improvement. And knowing ano yung average ratings ninyo per area, pwede niyo, like I said, yung scale of assessment results table, dito niyo makita startup ba ako, developing, expanding, and mature. So again, I need to stress this more, confidential po yung information. So we will not share kung ano yung ranking ninyo. And that's why we also encourage you to answer as honestly as possible para may self-awareness po tayo sa sarili nating organization. Okay. So given na may data na tayo, we can analyze ano nga ba ibig sabihin ng mga results natin. And here I will share a few tips kung paano natin ma-interpret yung mga OCAT results. So study the results in the summary tab. So bumabalik tayo sa table na pinakita ko kanina. So tingnan natin ano nga ba yung mga specific areas kung saan tayo mahina. In this particular OCAT results, or let's say yung sample partner natin, we will see how we'll see na medyo malakas kami sa resource mobilization. Although we need more improvements sa PDIME and even sa I think that's a financial management. So knowing where you're weak, you can look for ways to address it, whether it be capacity building or technical assistance or other forms of improvements. And you align your ratings again with the scale of assessment results. So napag-usapan na din natin yun. And also look into the specific ratings. So hindi porket malakas kayo in a certain area, hindi niyo na-review. Scrutinize every possible focus area. Let's say in a very high rating this is under strategic management, 6 kayo pagdating sa developing a set vision, mission, goals. Pero kung 1 naman kayo na hindi kayo responsive sa needs ng clients, parang red flag pa rin yun, di ba? So knowing that meron kayong vision, mission, goals, pero hindi naman tugma with your clients' needs, that's when you start thinking, baka kailangan natin i-reframe ano nga ba yung vision, mission, goals, and values natin para we can custom fit it and mas maging cohesive yung yung vision, mission, goals, and values with who the people you're serving, whether it be the communities, families, and the children. So ano nga ba ngayon, di ba? Parang alam na natin kung ano yung strengths, opportunities, and threats natin. Parang what do we do now, basically, di ba? So important then is you use your data in your next organizational planning. May mga program officers, nakita naman namin sa mga proposals every year. May mga budget for mga start of the year planning, mid-year planning, end of the year planning, and you can use this data kasi with the OCAT, meron na kayong instant quantifiable data na pwede na kayong gumawa ng charts and graphs based on yung mga average scores per focus area. Pwede nyo present sa team ninyo as a whole na dito tayo, this is where we need to improve. This is what we need to address. So by doing this, pwede nyo ilagay, so pwede nyo i-plot. So ano yung mga plans ninyo for next year, kung ano yung pwede nyo gamitin for org dev or capacity building, or pwede nyo isama sa overall yearly budget ninyo when you as part of your output sa organizational planning. Next is present your findings to your BOT. Di ba yung mga sa partners, we present to our board of trustees every time, and it's not enough na we provide the milestones and we ask for this and that. Yung mga board of trustees natin, they want to see actual data, tangible data na para maintindihan nila kung bakit kailangan nila decisionan itong certain aspect sa organization ninyo. For example, gusto niyo justify na kailangan pa natin ng additional social workers. So pwede niyo i-present nga sa pagdating sa pwede niyo present yung certain aspects like sa strategic management nga. Based on yung data namin sa strategic management, medyo mababa kami dahil hindi namin na-address yung needs ng clients, which is proper case management, dahil overworked yung staff namin. So, and this was based on the organizational capacity assessment tool that we used. So parang maganda yan, as in it's para mas maging persuasive kayo and mas maging matulungan niyo yung board member to understand why we need these certain things in our organization. Next, use the data in making proposals. So kayong mga program officers, tinitingnan din namin yun na, di ba, like I said before, apart from the usual objectives natin ng knowledge and skills, survival and development, and whatnot, meron din po tayong part doon objective all across the board na may organizational development. What we can do to improve your organization. So don't be afraid to ask for support on admin and HR, for example, kung kailangan ninyo, because that's also part of the project components that we support. And you can inform your program officer na ito yung kailangan namin kasi ito yung basis, and yung basis namin is the OCAT that we conducted. And Sir Dan, yung nakita ko sa strategic management namin, medyo mababa kami. Siguro kailangan namin ng consultant para i-review yung processes namin doon. So by letting your program officer know, they will take note of it at pwede sila maghanap ng paraan, whether to find a consultant that can help you or even include it in your proposals in the next program committee sessions. And next is, of course, like I said nga, when you're making proposals, don't forget to consult your friendly neighborhood program officers. O diba? Ang gagwapo at ganda ng mga POs natin dito. Very helpful and always there for you. And will always be there to address every organizational need you have. And they will work with you in analyzing the OCAT as well in case you're not sure on how to answer it and interpret yung mga results natin. So now we move on, para at least for your appreciation on how the OCAT has helped our partners in the past. So here we've done the data on additional support that you provided for partners in terms of organizational development. And based on the knowing what their needs were, we were able to provide different forms of assistance. Most na in-avail ng mga partners namin were technical assistance on hardware and software, whether it be mga cameras, laptops, and even mga financial software like mga QuickBooks, NetSuite, Akubo, and even website development para improve nga yung resource mobilization and advocacy campaigns nila. And next is also on capacity building. Yan, isa pang popular na assistance na pin-provide from OCAT. Kasi given that OCAT pinapakita na karamihan din mga lack of or may kailangan pa ng refinement sa knowledge and skills sa mga staff. That's why marami rin nag-avail for trainings on, let's say, financial management, on how to fundraise properly, even proper, even as much as capacity building in terms of self-care. Maraming mga staff, di ba, na hindi na burnout, nasa stress, and hindi nila alam kung paano nila i-cope yung mag-cope with yung stress nila. So kasama din yan sa capacity building. Followed by other supports such as even board development. So pagdating sa board development, this one is focused more on capacitating the board on how to perform well in terms of how to assess their knowledge and strengths. Ano nga ba yung key responsibilities ng Board of Trustees, and collaboration, how to collaborate effectively with the executive director, with assistant ED, the program officers, and of your respective organizations, or in other words, the management of the organization. So yun, ito naman yung nangyari after we provided the support. So out of the 11 partners that we've supported, 9 were able to improve their OCAT scores. So given that, parang laking tulong din talaga to for yung mga partners, kasi mas naging direct, naging purposive. Alam na natin sa yung kahinaan, we addressed it, tumaas yung ratings natin, and in the end, nag-improve yung program and services. And to dive deeply into it, so from those that improved, we saw 1 improved in terms of advocacy, 2 partners improved in financial management, 4 partners improved in PDIME, 3 partners improved in resource mobilization, and 2 partners improved in strategic management. And just for clarification, hindi kami nagugulan sa math dito. It's more than, these are like 12 partners na kalagay dito, pero dahil more of nag-overlap sila. There are some partners that improved in more than one aspect. Some nag-improve both in financial management and resource mobilization. Some isa lang, minsan tatlo. That's why medyo nag-overlap yung mga results po natin. Pero but the results stay the same. Kita-kita naman na marami mga partners that really improved in different parts of the organizational capacity. Tapos share ko lang din po dito yung mga pictures ng mga yung mga ibang partners we have, like PTI. So like I mentioned, di ba, marami yung nababurnout. So maganda yung may mental health coaching, which is a form of capacity building. Ito, website development from Bidlisio Foundation. So dito nakatulong to give awareness to potential donors and supporters of their campaigns. And so for Flame naman, ito financial management training. So if they were able through identifying the results of OCAT, they were able to conduct this training with one of our consultants, so that they can improve their bookkeeping, financial reporting, and other financial related needs. So yun po yung end ng overview. Sana po marami po kayo natutunan. And just to recap quickly lang talaga, remember, the OCAT is there to help you grow with Consuelo Foundation. And we've seen that naman, pinakita ko naman sa results natin, di ba? Marang it really improves how your organization works, not just with children, but how it continues its operations and how it helps its staff. Kita naman sa mental health coaching, di ba? And financial management training, and even mga technical assistance, hardware and software. Parang napakalaking tulong din talaga siya. And so after this, I'll be accepting questions in case meron pa medyo hindi pa clear. Baka we have other questions na hindi pa na-discuss. So we can talk about it together. So maraming salamat and mahalo.
Yan. Thank you so much, for your very informative session, na isa sa mga natutunan ko, itong OCAT pala hindi lang yung programa yung ina-assess, pati yung financial management and yung on the admin part of the organization, no?
And in fact, di ba, marami nga mga iba't ibang component, merong governance, merong strategic management, merong advocacy pa, nakita natin, may resource mobilization pa. So talagang full pack yung assessment component ng OCAT. And siguro sa akin naman, yung take-away ko doon, paulit-ulit yung sinasabi ni Pao kanina na you don't do OCAT just for the purpose of having, assess namin ito para makapag-comply kami kay Consuelo. But use it purposively, no? Pwede mo siyang gamitin, hindi nga kahit outside partnership with Consuelo. You can use it to write other proposals sa ating mga ibang mga funders, no? You can use it to present to your board. You can use it to your strategic planning. Maraming paggagamitan yung OCAT, hindi lang dun sa pagpopondo sa partnership with Consuelo. So thank you so much, Pao, for that very comprehensive presentation of OCAT.
Yes, correct. Ngayon naman, proceed na tayo sa pag-answers ng mga katanungan galing sa ating audience para sa ating speaker na si Pao.
Alam natin na maraming ang mga katanungan, burning questions ang ating mga participants, kaya naman type in sa ating chat box ang inyong tanong. Pero while we are waiting for them to send their questions, meron na tayo agad-agad tanong kay Paolo. Ang tanong, Pao, bakit nga kasi ganun karami yung information na kailangan ni Consuelo?
Dan, alam ko yun, parang lagi tinatanong yan ng partners namin. Parang makita yung tab pa lang, ang daming tabs, ang daming fields.
Actually.
Pero mga partners, you need to understand din na parang yung sinasabi nga natin, di ba, we're not here to just address yung direct program services. We want to be able to help you as improve yung mga other aspects ng organization ninyo kung saan kayo nahihirapan. That's why meron kayo admin and HR tab, may financial management tab, because even if hindi sila directly tumutulong sa bata, it impacts your organization as a whole. That's why we really need to address each of these specific focus areas, even if it takes a while, even if it means na having to ask other people, parang kailangan to answer truthfully as possible and as comprehensively as possible. So yun po.
Yes, tama ka dyan. Gusto ko yung sinabi mo na kailangan transparent or like honest tayo sa pag-answer para ma-address talaga natin yung mga areas for improvements. No? Para naman sa ating pangalawang katanungan, paano naman kung hindi sure? Hindi sure sa scores na dapat ilagay for certain sections. Paano ba ang dapat gawin pag gano'n?
Kaya sabi ko na, wag mahiyang magtanong, di ba? So, important talaga na, if you're the rater, whether you be the social worker or executive director, na you don't just answer it by yourself. This whole, although self-assessment na yung term na ginamit ko, it's a collaborative effort. So self-assessment as in the self-org as a whole, you will address this. Maganda nga some partners, what they do is that they conduct a team meeting. They will involve their HR head, their finance head, and then they will maybe flash the screen ng OCAT na ito yung mga kailangan ng sagutin, and they consult each other. And especially for those mga technical questions. Alam ko sa finance tab, ang dami mga technical questions, especially sa finance controlling, reporting, di ba? Di ba, Nin? So, that's why it's important to have everyone from different parts of the org to answer it.
Ayun. Gusto ko yung na-highlight doon na yung self-assessment po doon, hindi lang po yung ED, hindi lang po yung finance head, kung hindi ito ay collaborative efforts ng buong organization. Yung self-assessment daw doon ay patungkol sa organisasyon bilang kabuuan at hindi yung mga ED lang, yung mga finance head lang, yung mga program. Collaborative efforts. Thank you so much, Pao, sa iyong sagot. Meron pa tayong mga katanungan dito. Ito, maganda tong tanong na to. What advice would you give for organizations na, Sir, Paulo, gusto ko naman po talagang improve. Gusto po naming improve yung scores namin. Pero wala kaming budget wala kaming funds to do that. So, paano yun?
So, pag ganito, this is something that I would like to say with all Consuelo partners of part of the Consuelo network. Whether parang current partner kayo or naka-reach na kayo na phase-out process. Parang always this OCAT can be like once alam na ninyo ano yung mga, let's say, yung mga things that need to be improved, hindi naman, huwag kayo ma-pressure na kailangan i-fund agad or implement agad. This can be part of your long-term planning process. So pag alam na ninyo na like certain part, let's say in a certain component na mahina kayo sa resource mobilization, pero wala kayong resource mobilization officer to focus on that. Huwag kayo ma-pressure na gawin na yung like strat planning agad or communications planning agad. You can maybe plan it in steps. Kung hindi nyo kaya i-fund ngayon, na maybe you can have savings that you can save for the next year ahead for budget, for let's say hiring a new resource mobilization officer, and then have a planning with them in place. So whether it can be in a 3-year plan or a 5-year plan, but at least naka-layout na po siya para when the time comes na may available funding kayo, you can address it. At the same time, for those na maganda din na like to ask help from Consuelo na if we can provide it through technical assistance, we can connect you with our network of mga service providers and consultants that can provide in a much more affordable price, or maybe who knows, baka pwede pang pro bono. Parang, although I can't promise that, pero there are some that actually do provide that. So
Also some partners may help yung other partners, kaya sabi natin partners helping partners. Kaya don't hesitate to contact your program officers kung meron po kayong concern sa OCAT na sa tingin niyo hindi kayang budgetan. Ayun. Sige. Meron pa ba tayong katanungan? Ayun.
Yes.
Ang tanong natin, question ay, how often do you do OCAT? Tanong ito from Right Start. Gaano ba natin kadalas ginagawa yung OCAT pa?
Well, usually annually what we do, like at the start of the year. Even actually maganda nga rin kung magawa na, ma-update na natin OCATs natin even before proposal making para ma-contribute natin to the organizational development. So parang alam na natin kung we know kung ano mga trainings or technical assistance we can add into our yearly proposals. And at the same time, maganda rin yun kasi like at the start of the year and then the year after, mag-conduct tayo para may baseline results tayo. We can see from, let's say, 2023 to 2024, ano yung naging growth in PDIME or advocacies or governance. Parang, so at least we can also for our own monitoring and evaluation as well.
Yeah, oo nga. No? So, gaya ng sinasabi kanina, no? Para nga naman may basis. Kunyari, magpo-propose ka ng additional capacity building para sa mga ganitong staff. No? So, taon-taon din kasi nag-iiba yung pangangailangan. At saka, makikita mo rin, through the support of this funder, ano na yung mga development ng organization natin. Thank you so much, Pao. No? Taon-taon ginagawa ang OCAT, ginagamit ang OCAT. Sige, meron pa kaya tayong mga pumapasok na katanungan? Sige, mukhang wala pa.
Wait,
wala pa for now, no?
Ako naman, well, thank you pa. Kasi ngayon, medyo nagkakaroon ako ng grasp kung ano yung OCAT. Especially ako, nagtatrabaho ako sa operations, admin, ganyan. Ngayon, nalalaman ko na kung paano nyo siya ginagawa. Na annual pala siya, ganito pala yung mga aspect na ina-assess.
At para nga doon sa mga partners natin na medyo nahihiya pa for now na magtanong, wag po kayong mahihiya. Type in nyo lang po ang inyong mga katanungan sa ating chat box at itatry po namin yang i-address sa mga susunod na araw. At meron nga po pumasok na katanungan. Pareho ba ang framework na pinagkukuhaan ng OCAT sa DSWD?
Well, I think to answer that question, explain ko lang, a lot of tools were considered in this development. So there's definitely influence from yung DSWD na assessment tools. Pero also share ko rin yung history. Saan ba nanggaling yung organizational capacity assessment tool? So another basis is there are lots of similarities nga nakita natin, di ba? Like from, let's say, DSWD and even tools used by the consortium of civil society NGOs. So like one of the also inspirations ng OCAT is yung tools nga ng CSOs, which was funded by the USAID and rolled out by the Ayala Foundation. So yan, so it goes to show na rin meron talagang credibility tool natin, especially since karamihan ng mga nag-aid sa development is a consortium made up of PCNC. Partners, alam ko yung PCNC, di ba? The Philippine Business for Social Progress. Even the UP Public Administration Research Extension Service Foundation, Inc. Yan ang race ko. Pero yeah, also Consuelo tried to capture the needs of the orgs. That's why hindi lang, we didn't use someone else's tool. Hindi lang tayo humiram ng tool. We wanted to be able to make sure that this tool is applicable to partners, the partners that we're experienced with and potential partners we'll work with. That's why we had to also insert yung mas sarili nating mga knowledge and expertise para mas holistic nga.
Ayun. So to sum up yung sagot ni Pao, no, hindi parehong-pareho, hindi eksakto, pero may influence yung iba't ibang mga assessment tool na na-develop at na-roll out na before, like the DSWD, the CSOs, and the USAID, as well as yung input ng mga partners natin dito sa Consuelo. So yun, meron mga similarities but not exactly the same. Meron pa ba tayong mga pumapasok na katanungan, Nin?
Wala.
Alam natin mamaya na meron pa silang tanong na hindi pa nila naiisip for now. Pero again, we would like to remind you na pwede po ninyong i-type in sa ating chat box ang inyong katanungan. At dahil dyan, gusto natin pasalamatan
Syempre, ang ating speaker for today, si Pao, no, for sharing yung
Thank you.
mga kaalaman na ako din personally marami akong natutunan sa session mo, no. So ulitin ko lang na kung meron pa po tayong katanungan, feel free po na itanong lang natin yan sa chat box at try po namin yan sagutin kahit na natapos na itong event.
That's right, Nin. No? Again, thank you so much, Pao, for providing a very comprehensive presentation of the OCAT. Palakpakan po natin si Pao.
Thank you.
Yes, ngayon naman, partner, it is time to connect the concepts now that we have just learned to real life experiences from Consuelo's former and current partner organizations in accomplishing and applying recommendations of the OCAT.
Tama ka dyan, Nin. So kung kanina concepts, ngayon naman experience, no? And I'm sure talaga namang hashtag relate ang ating mga participants sa ating mga guests sa umaga na ito, Nin, because we want to capture the partner's experience in using OCAT. Kasi baka kanina, sabi lang tayo ng sabi ng concept eh. Pero for now, this time naman, gusto natin ma-capture yung experience nila sa paggamit ng OCAT in a more candid yet still very informative manner. No? We have invited 2 partner organizations, one community-based partner who just recently paced out but maintain an above average OCAT score. So mataas ang kanilang score, no? And third-year shelter-based partner organization who employed strategies on how to improve ang kanilang OCAT scores.
Yes, and with that naman, partner, no, let us meet our first guest. Well, our first guest is a registered social worker and is currently the executive director of A Child's Trust is Ours to Nurture Incorporated, or Action. She earned her Bachelor's of Science degree in social work, graduating cum laude from the University of the Philippines College of Social Work and Community Development, Diliman Campus, and later ranked first in the year 2000 licensure exam for social worker. Yes, prior to her stint in Action, partner, she served as the DSWD Regional Community Development Specialist under DSW Kalahi SIDS program. A team member of Don Honorio Ventura University, and she also worked as a program officer here
Sa
in Consuelo.
yeah.
Yes, and then while working here in Consuelo, she also part-time as a teacher in St. Joseph's College of Quezon City. But she also conducts review sessions in preparation for licensure examinations for social workers. She holds expertise on the following areas, namely child protection and welfare, social work administration, project development management, resource generation, and social welfare program and policies.
While our second guest is the co-director of the Mercy House Incorporated. She's a mother of 6 children, 2 by birth and 4 through the miracle of adoption. And she is the wife of Anthony, a native of Tondo, Manila. The Esquibels moved from the US 10 years ago along with their 6 children to start Mercy House, a home catering to street boys ages 9 to 17 years old. Nikki has a degree in special education and years of practical and personal experience helping children from hard backgrounds. Her education, experience, and faith are the driving forces behind Mercy House, where she and her husband lived along with 18 ex-street boys in Indang, Cavite.
Yes, grabe bongga ang ating mga guests for today.
Bongga talaga for
partner.
today. Sige.
So, ano pang hinintay natin? Please welcome Miss Lani Byron Llanes from Action and Miss Nikki Esquivel from Mercy House. Hello, Miss Lani and Miss Nikki, no? Kamusta naman po kayo? And welcome to our OCAT ang Panukat podcast.
Good morning po, Miss Lani and Miss Nikki.
Good morning.
Good morning. Also, I would like to greet po lahat ng nanonood and kayo po, Miss Lani and Miss Nikki, na Happy Women's Month.
Happy Women's Month po.
you.
Kamusta naman po kayo? Baka,
Before natin sila tanongin, no?
oo,
Baka
kamusta-
mabigla kasi sila sa mga tanong natin na, OCAT, ganyan. Kumustahin muna natin sila. Let's start with Miss Nikki. Kumusta po kayo, Miss Nikki?
Doing wonderful. How are you?
Doing wonderful too. Caffeinated. Marami na po kaming kape na nainom kaya ang taas ng energy namin for this morning. How about Miss Lani po? Kumusta po kayo, Miss Lani?
Very energized and thrilled to be here. Excited because this is my first time to use a new technology. So, medyo, na buhay po ang aking curiosity ngayong umagang ito.
Ayun. Sana po ay maging buhay din ang inyong energy sa pagsagot sa mga katanungan maya-maya, no? Pero before we get into OCAT, bago natin sila tanongin sa OCAT, siguro it's good to get to know about the organizations they are representing to allow our audience to, appreciate the sharing. Siguro let's introduce first po kung sino po tayo, ano po yung organization natin at ano po yung advocacy ng organization natin. No? Let's start first with Miss Lani and then to be followed by Miss Nikki.
Hello, good morning again. A Child's Trust is Ours to Nurture or Action, mas kilala po kami as Action, is a 28-year-old NGO, child-focused, and was founded by a Japanese national, Mr. Hajime Yokota. So Action started as an NGO or actually a volunteer group from Japan who helped rebuild the residential care facilities for children in Zambales. Because go a little bit of history, no? 1994 was just 3 years after Pinatubo eruption. So mga shelters talaga ay nasira, collapsed, or at the least damaged badly by the Pinatubo eruption. So doon siya nag-umpisa. But now, moving forward, Action is already involved in advocacies in adolescent reproductive health, where we tied up or partnered with Consuelo. We're now involved also in anti-child trafficking efforts in Olongapo and Zambales areas. We're also into community-based services. No, we have our Yashi or Power of Therapy for the mga earning individual, working age individuals 17 to 35 who wish to go to venture into massage therapy as their income earning. We also have dance and karate as direct services for children, with our community, the indigent communities, and our partner NGOs and local government units here in Olongapo and Zambales. We are also into advocacy on child in conflict with the law and children at risk. So currently we're working with JICA, DSWD, and JJWC for life skills intervention for children at risk and in conflict with the law. And we're still continuing our house parenting training. So from a simple but significant start of action in rebuilding yung mga residential care facilities, umabot na po kami sa social technology development, capacity building, and policy advocacy. So, dahil po dyan, kailangan namin ng resources na marami. Kasi sabi natin, di ba, kailangan talaga ng resources para sa mga gawain na ito. If we want to create a child-friendly society, hindi libre po yung pangarap. Yan po, it will require time, effort, and of course, money to achieve those goals. So, mamaya po, I will share with you ano nga ba yung naitulong ng OCAT sa action towards achieving our goal, towards working towards child-friendly society. So, thank you. Back to you, Dan and me.
Ayan, sige. Let's ask naman po si Miss Nikki ng kanilang background ng kanilang organization and ng kanilang advocacy. Miss Nikki?
Sure. Yeah, so Mercy House of the Philippines was started in 2013 by my husband, who's a Filipino native, and myself, as you shared in my introduction, Dan. We started out as an organization that came here to serve children with visual impairments. However, along the way, we began noticing so many children living in the street, and we could not ignore. And so after a short time, we switched our focus and became a home for children in street situations. So currently we serve 18 boys inside of our residential care program. We have many boys that we're serving outside of our residential care program through attempted family reunifications or work placements. Mercy House has no aging out policy. So 9 years old is our minimum age for admission, but considering we have an independent living program and community-based programs as well, we have committed to our kids for life until they are independent, able to support themselves, make their own family, start a new family tree if they're not able to be reunified with biological relatives. Occasionally, we have a child who gets a family through adoption. That has been very rare for us because of the cases of the children that we serve. It makes placing them in adoptive families a little bit more difficult as they have some additional challenges because of their histories and their backgrounds. So Mercy House has currently relocated from Rizal to Cavite. We've moved into our forever home, so to speak. We've been in the building process for a while now, and recently have been able to occupy our new home. My husband and I, as co-directors, do live inside of our home with our clients and our own children as well. Many of our staff are live-in by their own choice, and we have done the best that we could to create a large and healthy family environment to help recreate that environment in hopes that as our children go into independent living, they've had a good exposure to what a healthy family looks like so they can break the cycles of the families that they have come from originally. So that's our summary of our current programs and services at Mercy House. We've just begun branching out into a lot of community services, serving the neighborhoods that are closest to our home that also have children at risk in them. And it's our hope that we can prevent children from becoming street children by serving them while they're still in their families and reduce that risk in that way. So that's our programs as of now.
The brief introduction of their organizations and their advocacy. Ngayon, tanungin na natin agad na ito nakahanda na sila na nahanda na natin sila sa mga sunod-sunod na tanong natin. Ang una nating tanong is, how present is the concept of organizational development in your organization? Kasi kanina pa natin nababanggit yung organizational development pero how present is this concept in your organizations? Let's start with Miss Lani first.
The concept of OCAT is very much embedded now in actions activity. So it's part of our annual program implementation review. So it's very much present in all we do, to the point that up to now, we are still addressing some of the findings that we had during the first time we had the OCAT. No? Because as Nico said, it's overwhelming, no? Especially if it's your first time to do the OCAT, and many NGOs kasi they started as parang out of the goodness of their hearts, and then things become complicated. There's policy from the DSWD, government regulations, financial management, HR. So the OCAT actually helps, especially the management, no, put things into perspective. Which one to prioritize? Which areas are we strong already? Which areas do we need to strengthen our organization? Which areas should we prioritize? So the OCAT is really helping us a lot every year. So, and it's also for us a celebratory tool, no? Kasi parang every year nakikita mo accomplishment, how better have you become from the previous years. So nakikita namin, and it's really inspiring to see that. And the best thing about it is objective ang OCAT, no? It doesn't, it's really hard to say, we missed something, we're still lacking this, we're still needing that. But the OCAT will tell you objectively that these are the areas you've improved, these are the areas that you still have to work on. OCAT is very influential in our operations here at Action. So makikita siya talaga sa namin. This OCAT is already part of our parang overall management ng organization. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Lani. We are very happy, no, na sabi nga ni Miss Lani, embedded na sa lahat ng process nila yung concept na organizational development using the OCAT that we have shared with them. Let's ask Miss Nikki.
Yeah, I can echo a lot of what Miss Lani just said. We're in a similar situation. Mercy House started as a reactive organization. We were reacting to children in street situations, but now we are able to, thanks to the use of the OCAT, thanks to our partnership with Consuelo, we're under protection and recovery, we're able to be proactive. The OCAT and organizational development has helped us to, we don't have to tread water, so to speak, and there's a problem, let's react. There's a problem, let's react. This organizational development tool has allowed us to be proactive so we can plan for what we are expecting to see in the situations with the clients that we serve and in the community around us. And it allows us to be prepared to already have policies, procedures in place, funding set aside for those things that are needed, approval from the board for those things, so that when the situations come to our doorstep, we're already ready for you, yes. And that has been the biggest blessing and change that we've noticed since we've been implementing some of the structures from our OCAT, is that we feel like we're ready, let's bring it on, instead of just reacting to what we see and we better make a policy, let's make a new policy. It's already in place. So that's been a huge change for us in a positive way.
Yun naman, no? Sabi ni Miss Nikki, from reactive to proactive.
Correct ka
Yes.
dyan, partner. Nakakatuwang pakinggan, no, yung mga answers nila on how the OCAT helped them, na paano ma-improve yung kanilang processes. Ngayon, we would like naman the audience to appreciate then yung changes na binigay ng OCAT sa mga organizations na ito. Kaya ngayon naman po, we would like to hear from you a little bit about your respective organizations before using the tool and what motivated you to use this tool. Also, paano po kayo nag-prepare your team, paano nyo in-accomplish yung OCAT? Siguro let's start now with Miss Nikki.
So before the OCAT, we got our DSWD license, registration, working on accreditation. And so we did have some standards that were good high standards that we had to meet as an organization. We had to have our operations manual. We had to have our board and our SEC registration and those admission forms and discharge forms, and follow the rules that are set up for us by the Department of Social Welfare and Development. We were happy to comply with those because we needed that guidance. And we did. And so those are some very broad requirements. And we would talk to some of our other friends who were directors and get their input. And we found that many of our friends were doing things in many different ways. And it was nice to have that flexibility, that creativity. And then came our partnership with Consuelo and our introduction to the OCAT. And to be honest with you, natatakot ako. I was afraid. In my first, I saw this tool and I thought, oh, wow, there's so much more than the basic requirements that's out there that can make us grow. And yeah, we were surviving before the OCAT, but now we want to thrive. And so we needed to implement some more of these policies and areas of focus. Most importantly for us, I would say after OCAT, is that we learned, and we're still learning, how to self-monitor. Instead of relying on our annual or our every 3-year license renewal, the DSWD comes in and they analyze our programs and they do a comprehensive job. They look at our files, they look at our structures, they talk to our kids. But instead of relying on that every 3-year relicensing to kind of how are we doing, we can monitor ourselves now. We have our own tools in place thanks to the OCAT to sit down as a staff or as directors or with our board, and we know how we're doing because we have checklists and we have goals that are more well-defined, and we can monitor ourselves rather than counting on that external monitoring to tell us how we're doing. Because of course, like all of you, we want to be excellent at what we do. We want to be the gold standard. We want our kids to be served in the very best possible way and meet their needs and go above and beyond the basics. And so I think we're on track for that. I know we haven't currently arrived. We still have work to do. We're still in process with a lot of our documents and our monitoring tools, but self-evaluation has been amazing for us and a new thing since coming on board with partnership and since the OCAT.
Thank you, Miss Nikki. No, meron talagang na-achieve yung awareness. Meron tayong awareness sa ating mga areas na
at saka isa pa sa nagustuhan ko doon, no, na sabi ni Miss Nikki, it's not the DSWD na lang that do the monitoring, but sila sa sarili nilang paraan, and with the use of OCAT, they do self-monitoring. Yeah. Thank you so much, Miss Nikki. Si Miss Lani.
Sige. Siguro I'm an outlier because when I saw because I'm a social worker and part of my training is on social administration. So before coming in as executive director, I already have an appreciation of the need for strengthening or organizational development. So but when I saw the OCAT, I was really happy. Sabi ko, yes, may tool na, no? Meron ng tool that's calibrated for NGO. When I was with Consuelo 20 years ago, medyo hindi pa siya they already have this organizational assessment, but it's not as developed as the OCAT tool now. So when I saw the OCAT tool, pumapalakpak yung tenga ko sa tuwa because finally I have a tool that will help me assess objectively and that will help me communicate with everybody in the organization where we are and what we need to do and why do we. The only thing missing there with my job is why do we need the OCAT? So first, I convinced the board and my team by letting them know that OCAT is a means to an end. And that end, the common end that we want is we want the best for our children or the clients that we serve because they deserve no less. But for us to be able to deliver the highest quality of service, we also need to be a top caliber organization. Because you cannot serve from an empty cup. No? So kung troubled yung organization, let's say wala kayong funding, chaotic, you get sued by a previous employee because you don't have the proper HR practices, you get into controversies regarding how you utilize or manage your finances. Basically, if your house is not in order, if your organization is not strong enough, then you cannot give also a strong service or a high quality of service to the children. Yeah, for the first time, yes, when the energy is high, the donors are still, you've really stirred their hearts, you really opened up their hearts, but those emotions don't run for too long. At some point in time, they will start asking you for the ROI, the return on the investment, meaning what have you done so far for the many years? What change have we created together? So that's how important it is to have a strong organization. Kasi our organization is the vehicle, no, that we use to provide services to our clients. So kung butas ang gulong, hindi tayo aandar. So yun yung parang analogy ng isang organisasyon. Hindi tayo makaka-deliver ng service sa ating mga client. Dito sa amin, I tap on what we all want. And I'm sure, nobody in this organization wants to deliver a mediocre service sa mga kliyente namin. The children that we help, the stakeholders, the social workers, and the other organizations that we help deserve nothing less. And we want also to be of top caliber so that we can assist other NGOs. So for example, yesterday, one partner NGO contacted me and requested if she could get help from us in regarding GIS filing, no? AFS, GIS. So those are, we're very happy, no? Punta sila dito, they sat down with us. So kami na yung multiplier. This NGO is helping children with special needs. So we're very happy kasi you cannot give what you do not have. So kung struggling ang organization, struggling din ang ating services sa ating mga client. No matter how good intention we are, no? Because running an NGO requires science and art. Hindi lang sapat na may puso lang. Hindi lang sapat na mayroon tayong concern. Yung concern, nauubos yan or we run into helping fatigue, no? Yung donors natin also run out of fatigue kung hindi natin ipapakita na ito yung na-achieve na ng project or ng organization. And OCAT is a diagnostic tool, a monitoring tool, and also a celebratory tool. Kasi objectively, we can tell anybody, no one can contest. This is what we have achieved together so far. So we're very grateful to Consuelo. Kasi Consuelo did not stop from making us assess or diagnose our organization. But they really helped us, supported us in addressing those gaps. No? For example, sa action, talagang thankful kami kasi napakalaki ng contribution ng Consuelo sa amin. Kasi parang, okay, meron kaming gap. Ito yung mga urgent namin na organizational needs. And ito yung kailangan naming urgent support. And Consuelo was there with us all throughout. So proud to say nga ako, sabi ko, if I were to describe action in relation to OCAT, I will say we are a flanker, no? From flanker to Hall of Famer. Yes, flanker po kami nung 2018 the first time we used the OCAT. I'm not saying this because humble brag, no. It's to tell others na nag-uumpisa pa lang in using the OCAT na kasi kanina when we were introduced, mataas ang score namin. But it didn't start that way. Bumagsak talaga kami. So later on, I will tell you more details about paano kami from flanker to Hall. I would proudly say Hall of Famer kasi taon-taon talaga namin chinecheck yung sarili namin. So yeah, thank you. Back to you, Dan and Ming.
Thank you so much. Ang dami nating quotable quotes for this morning. Una, yung hashtag reactive to proactive.
Yeah.
Second hashtag natin ay OCAT is a means to an end. And then third hashtag natin ngayon ay from flanker to Hall of Famer. Diba?
Yes.
Ang dami nating hashtag.
Correct ka dyan, partner. So speaking of, na-mention ni Miss Lani yung parang
Flanker.
from being flanker to Hall of Famer. We would like to ask po, Miss Lani, ano po nung una niyo pong ginamit yung OCAT? Ano po yung areas na pinakamataasan? Kaya pinakamataas, ano yung area na pinakamababa naman po sa assessment niyo?
And their initial reaction, no? Nakita nila mababa.
Ang highest namin, undoubtedly, is yung programs. No? Katulad ng majority ng NGOs. Because I work with Consuelo and as part of the team that assess partners. Common talaga or majority ng NGOs talagang exceptional ang mga programs and services. So kasama kami doon. And I'm not surprised kasi even noon, we already influenced national policies. No? So nakakapag-approve kami ng national policies. Kaya alam ko. And by training, alam ko din, nakikita ko siya, except I don't have this tangible basis for saying magaling kami sa programs. And that, again, OCAT provided that. Ang lowest score namin was on finance and HR. Lower pa. Lowest talaga is finance. So that to me was alarming. From a manager standpoint, alarming kapag wala kayong financial management system kasi the organization is prone to intrigues, prone to accusations of malversation of funds. And alam naman natin na pag ang isang NGO or kahit anong organization, when there is a money issue involved, the integrity of that organization goes down the drain. So sa akin talaga that was the very alarming part. So, paano ba? Para makarelate siguro yung mga kapwa ko NGO, no? Wala kaming financial management system, nakasulat lang yan sa slip, wala kaming vouchers, ang staff namin who's handling finance is not a finance person. So, wala kaming concept ng GAAP or yung generally accepted accounting principles. When the assessors came from PCNC, ang dami nila talagang hinanap na wala kami. To the point that bumagsak din kami sa first PCNC assessment. And my reaction, masaya, thankful, kasi the assessors wrote a list, ano ba yung mga kulang nyo? Binigyan nila kami ng checklist kung ano yung dapat namin i-comply. So, it wasn't easy. Talagang it was not easy. No? Literally, nung second assessment namin, kailangan namin magdala ng 2 maleta ng vouchers papuntang Manila office. So our main office is here in Olongapo. Our satellite office was then in Quezon City. And PCNC wanted us to bring the vouchers, the attachments, all those. 2 maleta kami to the point na uso nun yung telenovela ni Daniela Mondragon na Red Maleta. Ang biruan namin, Daniela, anong laman ng maleta? Puro vouchers. No? Hindi po siya madali, but we stuck to it because the team, as I told you a while ago, meron na silang correct mindset. We're doing this because it is important for us to have a stable, to have a sound financial management system to ensure several things. One is we get the most value for our money, meaning we're able to provide the highest quality of service that our money can afford for the children. Number 2, it establishes our integrity as an organization. Lahat ng perang dapat sa kliyente napunta sa kliyente. No money is unaccounted for. Talagang up to the last literal 1 centavo, nandiyan, alam talaga yan na alam ng donors kung saan napunta, alam ng mga staff kung saan napupunta yung pera ng organization. Sa una struggle, ayan si Dan, alam nila yan kasi ang daming forms, ang daming vouchers, bakit paulit-ulit, bakit ganito, bakit si Miss Lani balik ng balik, bakit balik ng balik, ano ba itong mga canvas na to, no? Which I considered as birth pains, no? Part of mga growth pains yon ng organization. So now, fast forward 2023, alam na gamay na ng mga staff yung financial services namin. At yun din ang aming highest score. Mamaya I will tell you ano naman yung benefit sa amin. Ngayon pag inassess mo kami, inassess namin sarili namin, pantay na yung programs and finance namin. From talagang cash basis kami, parang nagpapasweldo ka ng mga empleyado sa ng mga brown envelope sa construction site. Naka-QuickBooks accounting software na kami. Na napaka-importante kasi pag merong nagtanong, asan ng pera, anong status natin, no? Inaudit kami. Inaudit na kami ng external auditor as requirement. Meron kaming isang funding agency ngayon, yung USAID. May sarili pa siyang auditor. And I'm proud to say, pasado kami doon, both audits with flying colors. So yun po yung Hall of Flunker to Hall of Famer story namin sa OCAT. But mind you, until now, hindi kami nag-i-stop to grow. Kasi may mga changes din, even in finances, no? Lalo na nung pandemic, na-introduce yung sabi nila dati naman na daw na-allowed ang electronic transactions, but it was really heightened. It became a necessity during the pandemic. So yung financial management system namin, we improved it last year to include naman policies, financial policies on electronic transactions because it's something we can no longer do away with nowadays. So kailangan yon. So I'm thankful sa mga finance people din ng Consuelo, si Reyna especially. Kaya tawagan ko yan, ay na paano yung ganito? Saan kami, anong pwedeng gawin? So we're really grateful talaga sa Consuelo kasi sila yung nagbigay sa amin ng funding to address yung namin, red flag ng aming organization in 2018. So thank you very much again.
Salamat din po, Miss Lani, no? At masaya po kami kasi from flunker to achiever, naka-QuickBooks na daw sila.
At saka ngayon, pantay na. Dati, sobrang taas lang nila sa programs, tapos mababa naman yung finance. Pero now, parehas ng mataas. Naipantay na nila yung finance and programs. Congratulations for achieve. Tanungin naman natin si Miss Nikki.
Yes, Miss Nikki.
Okay. So when we completed our first OCAT, we met together with our board. And to go over the results, you asked about the highest and the lowest scores. So we said to the board, do you want the good news or the bad news first? And they said they would like the good news. So our good news was that our highest score on the OCAT was administrative and personnel management. And we were not surprised that that came out so high because we made a priority very early on that our staff would be well cared for, that they would be well compensated, that they would have their PhilHealth, SSS, Pag-ibig, according to all the guidelines. Everybody knows the phrase, happy wife, happy life. But for us, we go by happy staff, happy kids. It doesn't rhyme, but it actually is our constant reminder that we need to manage our personnel properly. We need to go above and beyond actually the minimum requirements to make sure that our staff is loyal, that they're not burned out, and that they have the things that they need. And practically speaking, if we had to ever let go of a staff, we wanted to make sure that they couldn't take us to Dole with any legitimate complaints, that we hadn't fulfilled our obligations and even gone above and beyond our obligations. That wasn't our main reason for paying good attention to personnel management, but it definitely was a side thought. And my husband and I, as co-directors, live inside with the kids and the staff. So we're able to kind of see the needs. We know when somebody's getting tired. We know when a particular client is giving a particular staff member a hard day. We can intervene to make sure that they diffusing situations and that staff member gets some respite care and self-care. So we weren't surprised that was our highest. Our lowest score on our OCAT was resource mobilization and development. Now, for us, we're a faith-based organization, and so I think our strategy rather, we felt kind of intimidated and almost, I don't want to say blasphemous, but that word comes to mind, setting up our home with a business model, because we're not a business, we're faith-based. We rely on donations. However, we've learned through the use of our OCAT, a business model does not mean that you're not faithful, or that using more of a business model for resource mobilization, it doesn't mean that you're not trusting God and relying on your faith to provide for the needs of your NGO. So we had to kind of take a look at our own personal biases and say, what's wrong with implementing some of these strategies, even if it looks a little bit like the business world, to procure new donors and to, ask for rice from local friends and things like that. We were just very shy to do that, and we just felt like we should just be able to pray and these resources would fall from the sky. Now, we've since learned through the use of our OCAT that there's nothing wrong with making, and actually it's desirable to make a good plan for mobilizing your resources and for implementing, being the best stewards with what comes our way, and even for asking. We always were so hesitant to ask for resources because we just felt like that wasn't, we didn't want to exhaust our donors, and we didn't want to be that ministry that, oh, here they come again asking for more resources. But it's for the kids. And so we've since kind of been able to, I think our next OCAT score would be higher, much higher in this area, because we've since branched out of that mindset of just waiting for resources to come to us and going after them in a strategic way and in an appropriate way. So highest, lowest, and everything in between, we've done a lot of steps to improve our scores overall. But I think we've raised our lowest score. I think if we were to retake the OCAT tomorrow, that score would be much higher than it was last time. So back
Thank
to you.
Thank you, Miss Mercy. Na-appreciate natin. Miss Nikki ng Mercy House, sorry po. Na-appreciate natin na very honest sila with their lowest scores. No? For example, sa Mercy House, ang lowest scores daw nila ay yung resource mobilization, while the action, ang lowest score nila ay yung finance nila. Pero everyone's curious kasi nga mga proactive yung mga partners natin na dito sa Consuelo, how you dealt with other low scores. For example, nung ni-review natin, no, mababa yung score, for example, ni Mercy House sa PDINE, sa Project Development, Implementation, and Monitoring. And si Action naman, medyo mababa rin yung score niya before sa ResMob. Paano naman tayo, how do we do yung interventions natin with other low scores? Let's start with Miss Lani siguro for resource mobilization.
Sige. Ang ginawa namin, as I told the group earlier, in-embed namin siya, meaning in our strategic plan, there's already a part there that deals with OD, or organizational development. So under that, there are sub-areas. So one of which is resource mobilization. So the findings that we have from the OCAT, we translated that into targets, into goals in our strategic plan, and then we divide the strategic plan into annual operational plan. So we make sure that every year, some of those are addressed, no? So hindi as
Say, Daddy, congratulations.
Hindi mo talaga kakayanin i-address lahat ng findings all at once. So that's where prioritization came in. I chose to prioritize finance kasi directly related siya sa resource mob. Hindi ka makakapag-resource mob successfully if you have a red flag in your financial management system. Or you might get a fund, but later on, it will not be sustained because it's difficult to account for it. Diba? And if also, many of our funding agencies, for example, USAID, you have to go through what they call the non-US Organization Pre-Survey Award, o yung NUPAS na tinatawag. But if you take a look at the NUPAS, especially the finance and HR part, they're almost the same as Consuelo's, which is not a surprise because Consuelo is a 501c3 organization. So, yung standards nila is basically halos hindi nagkakalayo. So, as a result of addressing our lowest score sa OCAT, no, resource generation became easier. O hindi naman much easier, but definitely it opened a lot of doors for us for resource mo. For example, because we passed the Consuelo OCAT on finance, we passed also the NUPAS of USAID. In fact, we even passed the UNDP assessment. No? So, ganun kaganda yung OCAT tool. Pag pumasa ka sa OCAT tool, halos papasa ka na sa DSWD, USAID, UNDP, and these are international or funding agencies. So, we receive a grant from USAID through its conduit local organization, yung PIDA, because we passed the NUPAS. No? So, if you want resource generation, resource mobilization, you have to get your house in order first, no? Kasi nga ipapadaanin ka nila sa assessment if you're ready to handle the funds that they will be giving you, and later on your organization will be audited. Sabi ko nga kanina, meron na kaming external auditor, nagpadala pa ng separate, no, kanilang paid na external auditor ang USAID, and we passed both with flying colors. So as a result, pinondohan nila kami ng phase 2. Wala nang assessment. No? Basically, they just extended the project, and then last month they called us, Lani, merong forex difference. We have forex gain of 1.25 M. So please prepare an addendum proposal. So basically, much easier na siya because we have already established by passing the OCAT and thereby eventually passing the other assessment test, it created a credibility, no? Nagbigay siya ng track record and credibility sa amin na nagbukas ng maraming pinto para sa resource generation. So ngayon, dahil in order din kami, even our local clients dito sa Olongapo, no? Alam nila na maayos ang financial management system. The local governments, madaling makipagtrabaho sa kanila kasi meron din silang accreditation. Sa accreditation nila, hinihingian ka din ng audited financial statement. So, dahil nandyan sila, may mga non-material resources din silang nako-contribute. For example, may mga pa-training kami. They will say, amin na lang yung venue sa SNX Convention Center, huwag nyo nang pondohan yan. No? So, that's how much. Malaking bayad, malaking tipid yun sa amin. And ngayon din, kapag kumukuha kami ng sa DSWD nung kanilang public solicitation. Siyempre, mahirap pa rin. Ako, sorry po kung may taga-DSWD. Matagal pa rin. Pero, mas confident na sila sa action. Kasi, dalawang AFS yung ina-attach ko. O, ayan, USAID na yan. Meron pa kaming external. Saan pa yung hahanapin nyo? So, yung ating integrity when it comes to financial management, and as Ms. Nikki said, yung ating HR, how we take care of our people, really has a direct impact on our resource mobilization efforts. Kasi unang tatanungin dyan is, talaga bang mapupunta sa dapat puntahan yung pera o anumang resources na ibibigay namin? So kung maayos ang sistema mo, maayos ang proseso mo, may policy ka in place, confident ka. Kaya nga ang biro ko minsan, sige, pag may nagtanong, buksan ang ating mag-print lang kayo sa ating mag-print lang kayo ng ating report, mag-generate ng report sa ating QuickBooks. Madaling-madali. Another one, sa resource generation din, kami din natututo, parang yung shinare ni Ms. Nikki kanina on the business model. Consuelo helped us by tapping ventures for fundraising. So thank you again, Consuelo. Marami kaming natutunan sa ventures talaga. Meron din silang much more comprehensive assessment on resource mob. So, Ms. Nikki, pag sabi mo sa kanila baka pwedeng mag-ventures for fundraising din kayo, it was an excellent experience. Kasi sa OCAT, there are basically minimal basic indicators. Pagdating sa ventures, meron talaga silang assessment that is tailored fit to the organization. So, hindi nila ginagamit yung tool generic across all partners. They design or they tweak the tool to factor in the uniqueness of the operational uniqueness of the organization. So Consuelo then was the one who helped us, who linked us with ventures. So nalaman namin na-verify, na-validate namin that action is already exceptional when it comes to getting grant resources. But grants are earmarked funds. So diba? And normally, they fund very minimal administrative costs, no? Yung pasweldo ng tao, kuryente, tubig. Alam ko lahat ng executive directors na nanonood ngayon or managers, yan ang mga number one headaches. Saan tayo kukuha ng pasweldo? Saan tayo kukuha ng pangbayad ng kuryente, tubig, ilaw, no? So yung mga office supplies, office equipment, usually hindi yun pinupodohan ng grants, no? And there are other dreams that we have, no? We want to build something. We want, for example, Action is renting. We want to have our own office, or we want a bigger facility for children because there are already more children wanting to access Action's services, and yet hindi namin sila ma-accept lahat kasi limited yung resources namin. We cannot afford to pay more rent at this time, no? Kaya doon pumapasok yung concept ng unearmarked funds or funds that you are free to use as you please in whichever part of your operations. So, sa grants kasi pag sinabing para sa damit ng bata, sa damit lang talaga ng bata, ang kailangan mo pala nasira na yung bubong o kailangan mo magpa-repair ng toilet, hindi mo yun pwedeng ilipat at gamitin doon. That will be malversation of funds or diversion of funds na tinatawag. So, kaya natutunan namin, kailangan pa namin mag-generate ng resources na hindi earmark, na hindi grants. Kumbaga diversification, as Ms. Nikki said, just like her, but not on the religious standpoint, but more on the social work standpoint. Parang, at first, parang merong hesitance to take in or to apply business principles in running an organization or a charity organization. But Venture for Fundraising solidified my view that you have to also have the business skills and acumen to be able to sustain an organization. Kasi nga, lahat ng pangarap may katapat na resources. Pangarap natin na makapagpaaral ng bata, it's not free. Diba? Kailangan niya ng uniform, books, kailangan niya ng pamasahe. No? Sa Action, pangarap namin na mga bata namin ay matuto ng karate, no? Mag-build ng self-confidence or matuto ng skills. Lahat yon may katapat na resources. So, kailangan din, meron din tayong paraan para continuously may pumapasok na resources kasi you cannot continue on giving, mauubusan yung organization. So, we have to find ways. And I'm telling everybody, hindi po madali, but it's rewarding. Kagaya ng lahat ng mahirap, rewarding, highly rewarding din po ang mag-improve ng inyong resource mobilization. So, meron na kaming nakaslate na bagong resource generation technology. Pinag-isipan din, pinagdebatihan din yun ng team bago yun na-finalize. So, excited po kami dyan sa July. Meron kami ng fundraising activity. So, we'll be contacting the partners and Consuelo. Para naman po ito sa balak namin mag-set up na ng trust fund, no, yung Action, paunti-unti. Para kung may krisis ulit, kagaya ng COVID-19 pandemic, we will be sure na may pagkukunan kami ng emergency fund. Because alam natin lahat, we've been through the pandemic na ang worry namin, I'm sure Nikki shares this worry na we might have to let go of our staff. Baka tumagal to, wala na kaming pondo, no? Or we have to downgrade whatever benefits they are getting. But thankfully, Action naman ay hindi. No? Because before that, nag-OCAT na kami ng 2018. So by 2020, many of the risks and the gaps we have already addressed. So I can happily and proudly say na we didn't just survive the pandemic. We thrived during the pandemic. Kasi nga meron kaming, alam namin our strengths and weaknesses. So we know which bases to cover first and which bases we can utilize, no, to our advantage. So proud to say, nag-hire pa kami ng additional staff during the pandemic. Nag-add pa kami ng benefits ng mga staff during the pandemic. And that's not because, well, it's a given. Nandito kami, Kuya Hajime loves the children. Kuya Hajime cares for the staff deeply. Pero hindi kasi sapat yon kung wala yung science, no? Wala yung managerial science na nakapasok na may planning and organizational and especially resource mobilization into place. So yun po, maraming salamat.
Thank you so much, Miss Lani. Gusto ko yung na-reinforce ni Miss Lani yung sinasabi kanina ni Pao. No? Maliban sa prioritization, sabi ni Miss Lani, itong finance yung pinaka-immediate na kailangan nating masolusyonan. Pero yung resource mobilization, mababa yung score niya, pero hindi pa natin siya afford na i-prioritize this this at this time, no? Kaya sabi ni Miss Lani kanina, from findings, ginawa nila itong strategic goals and then divide nila yon, hinati-hati nila yon sa more able na plans doon sa kanilang annual work plan. Kaya nire-reinforce kanina yung sinasabi ni Pao na pwede niya siyang ilagay sa plano, sa strategic planning. Hindi niyo kailangan gawin ngayon kung hindi niyo pa kaya, pwede niyo siyang iplano. So thank you so much for that, Miss Lani. Puntahan naman natin si Miss Nikki para sa kanilang low scores doon sa PDIME.
Yes, so although PDIME wasn't our very lowest score, it was down low, and immediately when I was filling in the OCAT along with our team, I knew that was going to be a low score because although I love the programs and services that we deliver, I love the way that we were doing things, and we knew in here what we were doing, we didn't have a well laid out plan from admission of a child all the way to discharge, or we just didn't have all of the programs developed and designed on paper so that everybody knew exactly what we were doing and what our goal was. And so I knew that was going to be a lower score. And luckily for us, we're blessed. Paolo is our program officer who just presented earlier about the OCAT. So I reached out to him and said, we need help. We need help in developing a very succinct new manual of operations with lots of annexes that will speak to our monitoring, our development, our implementation, everything that the PDIME covers. You know, how can we get somebody that is knowledgeable in this area to come alongside us? And Paula was able to connect us with Ma'am Chona Sandoval, and she tailor-made for us a workshop that was a combination of Zoom and face-to-face, where she addressed all of these issues. I know it was an overwhelming proposal that we gave to her because what we were saying was, here's everything that we're doing. Help us make this make sense on paper in a manual and step by step. Help us make it step by step. So for sure, it was a lot to ask somebody, a resource person, but she did a great job. And by the end of our workshops and our Zooms and our face-to-face, we had a framework, a design of our program where we knew exactly where we were going. It's like having a roadmap for when you're on before Waze and Google Maps, people would get actually a paper map and look at it with your eyes and open it in the car when you're driving. And this is kind of what Ma'am Chona helped us to do for Mercy House to get our PDIME in order. So along with her, she helped us to write a whole new operations manual and helped us to start getting the implementation in place that we needed to get our map straightened out. And then we were able to share with our staff and with our board, and we even asked for input from our clients. And that was a suggestion of Ma'am Chona, that we would talk to some of our kids that have lived in our residential care setting for a while and ask what their feelings were on some of the programs. How did they benefit? What did they enjoy? It never crossed our minds to really sit with the kids one-on-one and ask about the programs. They're the recipients and, oh, what do they know? But actually, as it turns out, they know a lot. And they gave us guidance that we weren't expecting, but I don't know that we would have thought to sit with the kids and really tap into their opinions on everything. They seemed happy, and they're thriving, and their grades are good, and so it seemed like all is well, but it was actually so beneficial to have that guidance from Ms. Chona that we would sit down and talk to the kids about the programs and how we could serve them even better. And so all of that kind of came together to produce this new manual with the annexes that is allowing our PDIME to finally be what we always envisioned it would be. We know where we wanted to go, but getting there was the challenge. What's the first step? It's overwhelming. We have so many different things that we want to put into writing and focus on, and it was too many things to focus on at once. So we've now been able to streamline and really focus on our program implementation, our design, and our goals for the kids in our care. So that is our experience with grabbing those resources when they're available to us and making the best use of it. So yeah.
Thank you, Miss Nikki. Again, yung sinasabi natin na yung findings ng OCAT, magagamit natin yun to ask program officers of Consuelo Foundation for other technical assistance or i-connect kayo sa resources, external resources na magagamit talaga to improve the organization. Just like what Miss Lani mentioned earlier, sa kanila, yung ResMob nila, kinonect sila sa ventures. And for Mercy House naman, yung problem or yung low score nila sa PDIME, kinonect sila kay Miss Chona for them to, develop yung roadmap nga na sinasabi kanina ni Miss Nikki. So, ganun lang, no? Be honest, be truthful, and be expressive nung need sa ating mga program officers. Thank you so much for that sharing, Miss Nikki and Miss Lani. I think mayroon ka pang isang tanong,
For
no?
the final question na lang po, no? What is the most important thing that you learned about yourself and your organization through the OCAT? This will be answered by Miss Lani po siguro muna.
Okay, Miss Lani, and then will be followed by Miss Nikki.
Siguro, I'll begin with the organization. So, Action has already matured as an organization, and OCAT played a significant role, no? And on two things, because OCAT allowed us to diagnose. Basically, it's an assessment or diagnostic tool that tells us where we were. And now it keeps on telling us where we are and where we want to go. Kasi we translated nga the findings into targets, into plans. So, very helpful talaga ang OCAT into Action's maturity as an organization. So based on our latest score, ayokong sabihin ng actual score, but we're matured organization. So malapit na po kami yan. Pero I'm not saying we're perfect. Lahat po, because everything is evolving. But we're far better from the flunker that we were before. So Action now is much better organization because of the OCAT and Consuelo support. Sabi ko nga, one of the things that I've been telling Consuelo, the most that I appreciate from them is that Consuelo is the only NGO, if not among the very few NGO who looks into the development of the organizations and not just provide funding for the programs. Iniiwan nila ang NGO na a much better organization because of the OCAT and because hindi lang natatapos yun sa assessment, kundi they help address the gap. No? Mahirap din kasi, karamihan kasi ginagamit itong mga tools similar to OCAT as measure whether yung nakakatakot kasi wala kang funding. Totoo yun, no? For example, yung USAID NUPAS, if we didn't pass the NUPAS, wala talaga kaming funding. We may have to try again, no? But we will have to address first. But sa Consuelo, kasabay ng pag-deliver assistance on the delivery of services to the clients is also empowering the NGOs. So that when the direct financial funding is done, no? Tapos na, expired na yung contract natin for direct grants, and the organization can now stand on its own feet. So yun yung journey ng Action and Consuelo with using the OCAT nga as a means to an end. So ako, on a professional capacity, grateful ako. Sabi ko naman from the start sa OCAT, tinignan ko siya as a powerful tool. So excited ako because it made my life a lot easier. Kasi 'di ba, pag ang dami yung programs and sabi nga nila, ang daming aspects na tinitignan. Kanina may nagtanong kay Paulo, bakit lahat na lang? Ang dami. Because those are the areas that the executive director and the board have to make sure to be sound for an organization to survive, no, and thrive eventually. Yun yung mga areas that we have to cover. Haligi, bubong, sahig, no? Yun yung mga kailangan tinitignan. Kaya importanteng lahat ng aspeto na yun ma-address for an organization to be called sound organization. Sa akin helpful yun kasi it made my decision-making easy and I'm sure it's objective. No? Hindi siya base sa ano ba yung feel ko, ano ba yung paborito ko. No, it gave me a blueprint for how to run the organization in the next at least 1 year, no, and maybe in our case next 5 years. Ano ba yung ina-address namin? It also helps improve staff engagement. Kasi ang mga staff, pinipilit ko, nakukulitan na yan sila, lalo na nung umpisa nung financial management system namin. Naiintindihan ko where they coming from. No? Hindi nila na-appreciate yung connection na nakikita ko kung bakit kailangan gawin yung tedious ng mga paperwork sa finance. Pero eventually, they have embraced it kasi nakita nila yung feedback ng donor. For example, I've had an exit interview with one of my project coordinators who's now in Australia. Sabi niya, ngayon ma'am, naiintindihan ko na kasi at na-appreciate ko kasi yung donor na minsan yung kusang lumalapit at nag-o-offer ng funding support because they trust AXO when it comes to finances and programs. So, kailangan kasi yun, meron kang program excellence and excellence din dun sa other areas. But the non-negotiable excellence for resource mobilization is your program implementation and your financial management. Pag meron kang problema sa financial management, kahit anong galing mo sa programs, magkakaproblema in the long run yan. So, kailangan talagang we targeted na magkapantay yung dalawa na yun. The rest, unti-unti namin ina-address no, sa HR. So, alam ko ngayon kung ano yung mga kailangan namin gawin. At alam din ng board. And when I communicate with the board, I'm not communicating with them from a personal standpoint. It's from the professional standpoint, from an objective standpoint. No? Hindi siya yung paborito ko or yung bias ko o yung gusto kong gawin. But objectively speaking, the OCAT provided us no, the justification, objective justification. And one thing na nakikita ng lahat, na-interpret ng lahat in the same way. So yun yung nabago. And rest assured, walang bola, tapos na po yung funding namin sa Consuelo. We are still going to use the OCAT. We will continue to use the OCAT. Ngayon nga, ina-address pa namin. No? Ngayon, resource mob at HR, unti-unti namin siyang ayusin. Unti-unti namin siyang, pasado na po kami, pero times are changing. Sabi ko nga kanina, walang electronic nung 2018, mga electronic transaction. Ngayon, meron na. So, nakatipid din kami sa staff kasi hindi na kailangan pumunta lagi sa bank, digibanker na kami, mga ganyan. Napakalaking tulong po nun kung kailangan nating maging, well, hindi kung kailangan, kundi kailangan kasi talaga natin na maging efficient. So ako po kung kandidato si OCAT, talagang i-endorse ko po yan. Hindi po akong maging free na campaign manager ni OCAT. Kasi I've seen the wonders that a small, well, di siguro sabi na small, but sa a tool as simple as OCAT, the wonders it can do if an organization will just take it seriously and will really painstakingly, wala po itong sugar coating na madali. Mahirap po siyang i-address, but the rewards are worth it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. We'd like to hear naman from Miss Nikki po, what is
So what we learned from using the OCAT, we started Mercy House, so we did not have that added, I don't know if it's a benefit or a disadvantage of coming into an organization that already had established principles and manuals and ways of doing things. We started the organization ourselves, and so we really didn't know, how exactly we were doing in all of the areas that needed to be covered. So what we learned from doing the OCAT was one thing we learned is we were doing a lot of things right. Our intuition was good and our gut was good in what we thought should be done and handled, document-wise and other ways. So in a good way, we learned that we were doing a lot of things right. We also learned not to let pride keep us from being better, from improving ourselves. It's very tempting to want to, you score it just a tiny bit higher, or, I don't want to, talk about this area because your pride is hurt, that it's so obvious this should have been done and it should have been attended to and it hasn't been yet. But we learned that it's better to, I think Dan said this earlier, just to always tell the truth, to get it out there. We're bad in this area, we need help, so that you can actually excel. The OCAT is almost like, I don't know, somebody's catching you in a precarious situation. We don't, you don't want to be seen, but at the same time, you need to be seen so that you can do better and fix things that need to be fixed. So we've learned a lot. We're still learning a lot from the OCAT. It was just to decide what area to attend to first and what needs to be, right away, immediately fixed, and what we can take our time to develop and and slowly learn from others and gradually change and improve. So we've had to make a lot of administrative decisions as a group and as directors in order to do the best that we can by the kids. But the OCAT has taught us a lot. It's been a huge part of shaping us into the organization that we are. We're sad that we're in our third year now with Consuelo because I feel like we're just getting the hang of it now, and it's time to get ready to phase out. But hopefully, even in a few years, you can come back and see how we're doing and be proud of us, because we'll be continuing to implement these things that we've learned for the duration of our ministry. So, yeah, that's it. Back to you.
Thank you, Miss Nikki.
Ang saya naman pakinggan ng mga experiences ng ating mga partners, no? Napaka well-rounded ng mga ikaw.
Ng sharing nila. Yeah. Na-appreciate ko rin yung commitment na even after the partnership, kaya nga sinasabi ni Miss Lani kanina, tapos na kami sa partnership with Consuelo, and then sabi rin ni Miss Nikki, no, after ilang years, gagamitin pa rin namin yung OCAT, not just because of the partnership, but because we want to, develop yung organization. Tama na well-rounded, no? Nag-agree ako, ang ganda ng mga insights nila. And it proves na OCAT really does help in shaping our partner organizations better. When we talk about self-assessment, kasi medyo sabi nga nakakatakot, medyo may intimidation factor probably on the part of the rater, kasi there's this dilemma of over-promising and under-delivering and vice versa. Pero we learned that at the end of the day, this tool is not here to judge the organization, but to provide clear pathways to success.
Correct ka dyan. I agree with you. Ako naman na-appreciate ko yung learning process na-share ng mga partners natin yung struggles nila, kung paano nila tinaas yung scores nila, yung mga from low, paano na-achieve yung mga ika nga ni Miss Lani, Hall of Famer na sila ngayon, no? So, at talaga masasabi natin na numbers can't lie, don't you think so?
Numbers don't lie. Numbers don't lie talaga. Ano ba yan? Nabubulol na ako. Pero tayo ay nasa dulo na ng ating OCAT, ang Panukat Vodcast. Again, maraming salamat kina Miss Lani and Miss Nikki for sharing their experiences and insights.
Yes, kami po ay nagbabalik. Huwag kayong mag-alala dahil makakasama pa rin at Miss Nikki, no? Pero since kanina pa marami na silang na-share, they've been speaking for quite some time. Ngayon, it's time naman na mapakinggan natin ang mga katanungan from our audience. So, katulad ng kanina, please feel free po na itanong ang ating mga katanungan sa chat box at susubukan pa natin silang sagutin.
Alam ko na medyo marami ng tanong, no? Kasi ang daming na-share na experiences, na insights, ng action at ng Mercy House, no? Kaya excited ang mga participants natin na magtanong. Kaya sa palagay ko ay may bagong kapapasok na tanong. Tingnan natin ang unang tanong for the first question.
Yes, for the first question, no, Miss Nikki, how do you prioritize or choose the organizational development concerns that you need to address out of the 7 components?
Paano
For us,
pinaprioritize?
we choose for us what affects the children the most. That's our choice. Our choice is whatever is needed that directly affects direct services to our clients. That's what we prioritize. For us, they're the most important aspect of what we're doing here. And then everything else falls underneath and after. We make sure that those needs of the kids are the first and most important priority.
Yun, sabi ni Miss Mercy, what affects the children the most? For the second question naman ay para sa action. Ang sabi ay, how did you get a buy-in from your board and team members to get on board in applying the recommendations of OCAT for action?
The buy-in came from explaining to them that OCAT is this is a means, no, for us to improve our organization. And yes, I brutally told them that if you want to get more resources, we have to be able to be an organization that is bankable or reliable. and a reliable organization passes through this. So most of my my BOT members are businessmen. So I talk to them in a business sense. So if your company, this is like an ISO. If your company is ISO certified, it gives you credibility, diba? So it becomes, it's a seal of good quality. It's a seal of excellence. So people will buy better product or excellent products. So in our case, as an organization, if we pass this, it's like a seal of good housekeeping. And this gives us an edge when it comes to mobilizing resources. Kasi yun yung priority nilang problem, di ba? Yung sustainability, saan kukuha ng pera. So doon dapat natin i-anchor. Yes, I agree with Miss Nikki, no? At the back of my mind as a social worker, I'm doing this for the children. But that is something na medyo isang meta card pa bago ma-explain ko sa board. So I tap on their business sense. Mga negosyante sila eh. So kung gusto mo kumita yung organization, makakuha tayo ng resources to continue funding our projects, our programs and services, kailangan natin itong gawin. Of course, yung mahabang paliwanagan kanina, medyo mahirap na yun silang i-convince. Try to sit in the position of your board. Ano ba yung perspective ng board? What fits them? Doon simulan yung sales pitch. Kinaginis ko siya sales pitch. It's a product I am telling them, I am selling them. So sabi ko, kailangan po natin ito kasi hinahanap ito ng mga funding agencies. And kailangan natin syempre ng funding para ma-continue yung serbisyo natin sa mga bata. So, very important po ito. And ang napakalaking tulong doon is when Consuelo provided resources because that provided the truth, no, to my sales pitch. Actually, dahil pumasa tayo dito or we're working on it, Consuelo Foundation is now helping us with our adolescent reproductive health project for the youth. So, yun po siya. Yun, doon ako nag-umpisa. Start where your client is. So, yung board is my client. So, kumbaga sa business, ano ba yung hinahanap ng kliyente mo, doon mo simulan yung sales pitch mo. Lagi pong ganon yung generic mindset ko when selling something. So sa board, yun talaga. Problema namin resources, tell them it will help in generating resources for the organization. So yun po. Thank you.
Start where your board is. Yan naman ang additional hashtag natin for today. Meron pa bang mga pumapasok na katanungan? Meron pang isang tanong para sa kanilang dalawa?
Oh yes, para sa kanilang dalawa, no? So Miss Mercy and Miss Nikki and Miss Lani, ang final question is, what is the most important tip that you can give to our audience with regards to using naman the OCAT?
One most important practical tip na mabibigay natin sa ating audience for this morning.
Extremely practical, very, very practical is don't try to do it all in one sitting. Your board, break it up by the tabs are broken up beautifully. Take one of those tabs and let that be a few hours, have a break, think about it, come to the next tab. It's extremely practical, but trying to do it all at once or do too much, it will be overwhelming to you. Take it in small doses so you can really think it through and really discuss it and be thorough. That's my tip.
Ayun, wag isang upuan, hindi kaya yan. Para hindi kayo mapagod at ma-overwhelm. Hati-hatiin daw natin, merong mga tab doon na pwede nating gamiting panghati, no? Ng oras o kaya ng araw kung kailan natin siya sasagutin. Pakinggan natin si Miss Lani kung ano yung practical tip niya.
Yeah, I agree with Miss Nikki, no? I was about to say that unti-untiin, wag niyong masyado kasi overwhelming siya. Pangalawa, hindi siya individual self-assessment, organizational self-assessment siya. So you have to bring in people, bring in your team, your key team. Don't try to answer it by yourself kasi sabi nga natin, ang dami niyang areas. So for example, ako, I'm not a finance person. I understand basic red flags sa finance because I was trained way back many years ago when I was in Consuelo. I also learned from the evaluators and I consciously self-studied yung mga basics ng financial management even if I am a social worker. Pero hindi yun sufficient for me to be able to answer the questions in the OCAT. So bring in your team. Bring in your team. Work as a team. Wag yung kanya-kanya. Kasi may I know of an NGO na ang ginawa, o yung HR, pinarm out sa HR, yung finance, pinarm out sa finance, no? And the programs answer yung programs ko. It's disadvantageous in the sense that you won't see the systematic, yung how each component affects the system as a whole. So, yun po yun. So, sabi ni Nikki, I second the motion, break it down, wag dire-diretso, make it chewable. And second, don't do it by yourself. Bring in your team. Bring in your people, no? So, at wag din matakot agad. Wag unahan ng takot. So, palitan ng mindset. No, palitan ng mindset. Ang biruan namin dyan, magkano ba yung target namin na ma-generate sa aming strat plan? Or road to 10 million to guys, pagkahapon na, inaantok na, tapos napapagod na, biruan na. No, may joke ako, kailangan energetic tayo, road to 10 million ito. Yung mga bata, tumadami na yung dance karate, hindi nakasya sa studio, kailangan na natin itong ayusin. No? You find humor, you find yung camaraderie ng team. Yan po. Wag solohin wag pasanin ang cruise ng mag-isa.
Ay, isa namang quotable quote, wag solohin.
Wag pasanin ng cruise ng mag-isa. Bring in your team. Ang ganda ng dalawang dalawang practical tip. Una, hati-hatiin, make it chewable, sabi nga ni Miss Lani and Miss Nikki. And second, bring in your team. Yun naman. Kaya naman, gusto naming pasalamatan again si Miss Lani and si Miss Nikki for their insights and for their sharing of experiences dito sa ating Q&A. At dyan po nagtatapos ang ating Q&A portion. Kung meron pa po kayong mga katanungan na gusto po ninyong itanong sa ating speakers, kay Pao, kay Miss Lani, and kay Miss Nikki, please type in sa ating chat box ang inyong mga tanong, or kung hindi nyo ma-type ngayon, mamaya pa ninyo maiisip, pwede po ninyong email ang inyong program officer. At try po nating sagutin ang inyong mga katanungan kahit pa matapos ang ating CLS for this morning.
Correct ka dyan, partner. Let's keep the conversations rolling and i-maximize po natin ang power ng Consuelo Network.
Ayan. At dahil nga po dyan, tayo ay nasa last part na ng ating programa. On behalf of Consuelo Foundation, thank you po sa inyong lahat sa pag-attend sa ating Consuelo Learning Series entitled OCAT ang Panukat, Understanding the Organizational Capacity Assessment Tool. Sana po ay marami kayong natutunan at nabaon na impormasyon na makakatulong sa inyong mga organizations.
Yes, Karka dyan. And as promised kanina, nung nagpatanong tayo, nag-icebreaker tayo kanina, no? So yung mga nanalo kanina will receive a prize. And we would like to thank once again, we would like to thank once again our speakers who passionately shared their knowledge and stories about OCAT. Thank you, Pao. Thank you, Miss Lani. And thank you, Action and Miss Nikki from Mercy House Inc.
Ayun. At before natin makalimutan, pwede ba nating i-flash yung nanalo sa ating games? Ayun. Ang nanalo sa ating games ay si Miss Ana Paras ng AHRC and Miss Elisa Ebrada ng Safe Haven. One of our team members will reach out to you to give you your prizes. And again, last but not the least, isa sa mga reminders natin palagi, we will be asking you to answer our evaluation form, which will be sent via email. Strictly no evaluation forms tayo dito, partners. No certificates. Kaya sagutan po ninyo ang inyong evaluation forms mamaya. Please.
Yes. Now to end our session this morning, may we ask everyone to open their cameras and let's have a group picture. Marami tayo ngayon, so keep on smiling lang po.
Ayun, Parang nasa 90 plus na participants tayo.
Wow.
Tingnan natin kung naka-open na sila at kung ready na sila, magsisignal sila. Opening pa daw.
Opening.
Ayan, sige. Paki-open na lang po.
Practice muna mga beautiful smiles natin dyan.
Oo. At alam ko nag-ready sila, dahil gusto natin makita ang kanilang magaganda at nagwagwapuhang mga mukha.
Okay.
Ayan, sige. 5 frames tayo, for this photo op. So, medyo tagalan po ninyo yung smile po ninyo. Pasensya na po kayo. Ayan, sige. Sasenyasan po tayo kung ready na silang mag-picture. First frame. Smile. Ayan. Second frame. Smile. Third frame. Ayan na. Pakitagalan pa po yung smile ninyo. At fourth frame na po tayo. And last frame. Ayan, nangalay yung pag-smile ko doon ha. Pero sana na-capture natin ang magagandang muka at nagagwapuhang muka ng ating mga participants and resource person. At dahil dyan, partner, dito na nagtatapos ang ating session for this morning. But let us remember, huwag matakot sa OCAT dahil OCAT ang panukat. Ako po si Dan Bagsik.
At ako naman po si Nina Martinez. Thank you everyone and have a great rest of the day. God bless po.
Bye-bye.